Hello, nerds! Welcome to Generally Nerdy. This is your week in nerddom. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the car studio, but we've had some pretty crazy technical difficulties over the last couple of days, so this is out of necessity. Yeah, things happen, and we still have to make videos, right? So, this week in music, we are talking about Marilyn Manson.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
This week's episode of Music News is brought to you by patreon.com/generallynerdy, where you can go become a supporter of this channel. Jump on for $1, you can jump on for just $1 a month and you get early access to all the videos. There are higher tiers, there is more that you can do to support, and the more that you do to support it, the more stuff you get in return. So definitely check out Generally Nerdy on Patreon at patreon.com/generallynerdy. But let's jump right into the news. Again, sorry for the car studio. Yeah, I got a new toy this week, and it's a battery adapter so I can plug the camera into the wall. Little did I know, and this is what I get for not troubleshooting before I film, that battery adapter creates a lot of noise for the audio receiver in the camera, because apparently, yeah, reasons. Anyway, first thing on the list for music this week is Marilyn Manson. We're just gonna go for the big dog right out of the gate. This past Friday, the 17th, I believe, he had something of a breakdown on stage. Now, it's been covered ad nauseum at this point because apparently people aren't paying attention when he puts out new records, but they're definitely paying attention when he has issues on stage, because that's the society we live in. But I'm going to break this down a little bit differently for you wonderful music nerds, because I feel like the coverage that he's gotten hasn't been good, and hasn't been very encompassing. Just, hey, look at the crazy guy on stage, rather than, hey, there's some stuff going on in this guy's life, and let's let him work it out and not expect him to be a dancing monkey on stage. So yeah, Manson had a show in Long Island, New York, on the 17th, on Friday the 17th, that just happened. And so there's a number of things. I'll walk you through it a little bit and then kind of break down what I think was happening and why we should be sympathetic. First off, I believe it was like a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I could be wrong because I can't remember the date, but Manson's dad passed away. Now, some of you might be saying, well, who cares, because it's not like he is a family kind of person, and we don't know that. All we know about Marilyn Manson, for the most part, by and large, is the persona that he puts on for the public, and it is very much just a persona. Nobody is like that for real, and nobody really is like that. There are a very small few exceptions to that rule, because whenever you're dealing with people, there's always exceptions. And I don't think Manson's one of them. I think that he's isolated and he is an introvert, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a close relationship with his parents or any other family, really. Now, that has the capacity to wreak havoc on anyone. Factor in, if you watch some of the videos that people have posted from this show, there seems to be a moment where he's talking to the audience and he sounds drunk. Manson, as we do know, is heavy imbiber when it comes to absinthe and the like, because absinthe is cool in the world of the goth type, I guess. So very likely he had some absinthe before he went on stage, as I'm fairly certain I've heard he is wont to do at times. So we have alcohol potentially in this situation too. So dead father and alcohol, that alone has enough to send somebody into a bit of a spiral. And then we have a third factor, which I need to give a little bit of background on before I can explain why I think it's a factor. So the factor is the crowd. If you've seen the videos as well, where he's actually still trying to perform, and it's not a song I recognize, so it's probably something off of a newer record, which also factors into the fact that the crowd wasn't giving him the response he thought he should be getting. So why would this factor into his breakdown? Very specifically, Manson's breakdown. Because Manson is something of a man-child. Not in the stereotypical crybaby kind of way, not the way that we use that term now, but more in that he cannot take care of himself in day-to-day life. He cannot go grocery shopping, he cannot make his own food, that kind of stuff. He is incapable of taking care of himself. The only thing Marilyn Manson does is talks to people and makes music. And he's very eloquent and he's very musically inclined, so partially that's due to the fact that he was such a celebrity years ago and still maintains that celebrity status to a lesser degree these days. So like if he were to go out and try to buy his own food and so on and so forth, he would be mobbed and it would be very difficult for him to do such things. So that being said, the other reason, not just his celebrity status, but the other reason for that is he believes that the world does and should revolve around him. He is something of an egomaniac. I'm sure there's a better word to describe it, but that's as close as I can come with my $5 vocabulary. So that egomania means that when the crowd wasn't giving him the response he wanted, it amplified the horror that was already living between his ears. So yeah, I'm not going to link to the videos of him breaking down or like the people posting after he's left stage and all that, but it sounds like he cut his show about an hour short. Varying accounts say, some of them say he played like 5 songs, some of them say he played for about an hour. On a headlining gig, Manson usually does about 2 hours, I believe. So if using the most loose of those accounts, that means he cut his set in half. Because of the factors we've already listed. And I feel like another probably relatively minor factor, but still a factor, if you watch the videos also, you'll see that he is on stage with an instrument. I have seen Manson probably 4 times. I have never once seen him play an instrument live. I've seen video of him playing in the studio, but I've never, so potentially the fact that they couldn't hire enough hands for the stage performance, they couldn't afford it or couldn't find another guitar player or something, I feel like that is potentially a minor factor as well. So we have a series of issues that he was dealing with, and man, sometimes you have a bad day and it breaks. And I feel like that was his day Friday. Because the following night, Saturday night, he was in New Jersey, and fans that attended both shows say that it was awesome. He did a phenomenal job the following night in Jersey, and more than made up for his mediocre to poorer performance the night before. So very interesting. I hope whatever issues he's going through, he works out, because I really look forward to seeing him again in the future. I don't want this to be his last tour, because he can't handle touring. He's a professional. If nothing else, he is a professional. So yeah, here's to hoping that we get more Manson dates in the future. But we're going to kick on to the next bit, and this one is Corey Taylor. Recently, Corey Taylor, currently he's on tour with Stone Sour, and recently he did an interview where he was talking about Stone Sour. Throughout the course of the interview, though, the reviewer brings up his other band, and if you do not know who Corey Taylor's other band is, you just know him for Stone Sour, then let me enlighten you slightly. Corey Taylor's other band is Slipknot. Slipknot, last we heard, was quasi, kinda, sorta working on new material. They weren't officially in the studio, they weren't doing anything of note for a plethora of reasons. They just didn't feel like it was the right time. Sean's always writing stuff, and he and the new guys, I would imagine, are throwing together ideas. It was kind of the announcement that Sean made a couple months back. In this interview with Corey, though, the interviewer asks him when we're going to see some new Slipknot material, and Corey says, soon. And then the guy asks him how it's going, and Corey's response is, the new album sounds awesome. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something along those lines. It's crazy, heavy, and dark, and so on and so forth. So apparently Slipknot's in the studio. That's the real announcement right here. Is Slipknot is working on new material to the degree that they have sent a number of songs to Corey, and Corey is working on lyrics. And generally speaking, from what I know of Slipknot's process, lyrics and vocals is one of the last pieces that they put into the puzzle. So they're in the studio putting demos together for Corey to write lyrics to. That is awesome. That likely means we're going to get a new Slipknot record by the end of the year, and I am stoked. The Gray Chapter, .5, The Gray Chapter is a fantastic record. I really appreciate the things that they've done with the two new members. Jay Weinberg on drums, man, he just beats the snot out of those drums, and it sounds great. And I really, really, really appreciate the new music that they've put out since Paul and Joey have left. Paul had passed and Joey left, I guess. So super stoked about that. But one more announcement for new music. We have Rob Zombie. We all know he's been in the studio for a while. John 5, who is his guitar player currently, was doing an interview, and the interviewer asked him about the new Zombie record, and he said that this is potentially the best Zombie album ever. John 5 is not a man to mince words. If he says something is potentially the best ever, then he wholeheartedly believes that statement. And that's interesting. I haven't really been into much that Zombie has done musically since roundabout Hellbilly. I didn't listen to Hellbilly 2, so I'm a little behind in my Zombie music, but American Music to Strip By was okay, and everything he's done since then I've listened to passively, just nothing really to write home about. If this is the best Zombie album ever, then hopefully, we're going to talk about it for sure. And I don't know, I also don't know if that implies the White Zombie material as well, or just Rob Zombie's solo material. I'm not entirely sure where the best ever statement lies, but John 5 thinks it's going to be the best record, and John 5 is done doing guitar tracks for it too. They're moving into drum tracking, and then I would imagine drum and bass will be right about the same time, and vocals will be last, because whenever you do recording, That's, I mean, stereotypically, that's the best way to do it, is always record your vocals last. So they're moving into drums, and then I would imagine bass and vocals. So that means we're also going to be seeing the Rob Zombie record by the end of the year. Actually, I bet the Rob Zombie record comes out by the fall. Probably sometime around Halloween would be my educated guess. But super stoked about that. We are moving out of heavier music and into the country side of the nerddom. Country music, we have a really interesting bit. So Chris Stapleton has accomplished a feat that has only ever been accomplished by 2 other country artists in the history of Billboard charting. So the last one to accomplish this feat was Garth Brooks in 1992, and then the only other one to accomplish this feat, if I can see my notes, was Charlie Rich in 1974. The feat of which I am speaking is Chris Stapleton owns the top 3 slots in the country Billboard album chart. So he has the top 3 highest selling albums right now. The number 1 album right now is From a Room Volume 2. The second album right now, the second top country album right now is Traveler. The third top country album right now is From a Room Volume 1. So 1, 2, and 3 all belong to Chris Stapleton. The last time this happened was Garth Brooks in 92. So he's in pretty good company. I mean, that's not a comment on the quality of Garth Brooks music, because arguably Garth Brooks is the reason why pop country is what it is today. So, but still, super awesome for Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton is unique in that he doesn't sound like Garth Brooks. He doesn't make this crazy pop country. He makes very popular country, but he doesn't make, his sound is not akin to what you associate with the term pop country. His sound is a little more what you would call like bluesy country or legit country to some of them, even borderline rebel stuff. So it really is encouraging to hear that an artist like Chris Stapleton is on top of the country world right now. So that means that the super poppy stuff is potentially going to the wayside, and hopefully going the way of the dodo, at least for a while, because everything in pop culture is cyclical. And then our last bit of news, let me brighten this up since I'm not moving currently. There we go. Yeah. And then our last bit of news before I get out of the vehicle and we move on to another video. Last bit of news is Eminem. This bit could have potentially gone into the supplemental because it's just to do with the video. And he didn't release any new music or anything like that. It's just that he released a new music video for the song Untouchable off of the Revival album. That's the video that he released. And technically speaking, it is just a lyric video. And so lyric videos typically are just like, oftentimes they're a blank screen and then the lyrics flash, kind of like karaoke. They flash on the screen as they're being sang in the song or spoken or whatever. Sometimes there's like animation involved, but nothing really intensive. This lyric video is incredibly unique in the fact that it could potentially serve as the music video. What I mean by that is whoever did the video for him, whoever he was working with to put out this video, they took the lyric video concept and kind of incorporated it to how a lot of the culture digests their media and news, because it's a news-y kind of song. The lyrical content of this song has a lot to do with our current social climate, so a lot of people are digesting it through social media. So his lyric video has to do with social media. He has created a fake social media app for the video. It's like E-Mobile or something like that, and it's backwards E, so it's Eminem Mobile. It looks a lot like Facebook, and it's showing somebody scrolling through their feed. So as their feed is going up, the lyrics are appearing in the posts in this hypothetical person's news feed. So their news feed has the lyrics and from posts from different people, like they're friends with, or in the advertisements, or like the suggested friends and things like that. It's all the lyrics of this song. It's really, really unique. You can definitely check out the link down in the description below if you want to watch for yourself. The politics of the lyrics aside, because it's fairly evident that Eminem is misguided in his politics, but still very unique take on a relatively new medium, and I really appreciate that, if nothing else. So that is where we're going to end this week's music episode. What did I miss, guys? What should we talk about next week? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to go deeper into this conversation, though, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. You can get all the freebies, find all the social media links up there. If you are new to the channel, click the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on all your nerd news. If you like this episode, click that like button. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, click or tap to the left of my face right there so you can do that. But before you go, please, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here, and I'm gonna take you on a car ride.